We are so back. We've never been more back. We're the most back that anybody could ever be. As many of you know, I'm going to Combo Breaker this year. And I am on Baiken this year. I was on Soul last year, but I've gone back to the wife. And I'm ready. I feel more ready than I have ever been for anything, really. There's a couple technical things that I need to grind out. But after that, I'm good to go. Shut up, Mr. Announcer. I'm doing a guide here. Thank you. My goal with this is to share a little bit from an intermediate Baiken player and hopefully get some more people to play her, because I think she's really fun and cool and awesome and epic. We're going to start with some basics, and then we're going to go from there. I'm going to show you what she wants to be doing, her effective ranges, that type of stuff. We'll move on to combos later, and then we'll get into some more intermediate stuff. I want this to be open to beginners, but I also want them to have something to build up to. So I'll start with basics. Baiken is what I would like to call a short-range defensive all-rounder. She has very short, fast buttons that help her on offense and defense. Her effective range is about right here. You know, this isn't going to hit Soul, but that will. Her far slash is pretty fast and close. Same thing with her 5H. So what she wants to be doing is being up in the opponent's face. She wants to be in your face all the time. She also wants to try to coerce you to get close to her. Stuff like 2H is good at catching people trying to run at you. You've got S and H Kabaddi to work on catching opponents trying to get to you, and also fishing for neutral hits like that so that you have an opening to get in. You have Tatami to create space and also help fight against some projectiles. And then Yozansen is a mix-up tool and also one of your best offensive uses. We'll get to that in a moment. Baiken has a unique tool for her specifically. Hiragi. This is a frame 1 reversal. It is a parry. Any strike coming in on her, any meaty, any jump in, anything like this beats. It is active frame 1 and it is active for, I think, 6 frames? I'll link Dustloop below because I'm not quite looking at it at the moment. But this is her best defensive tool, and it got buffed in the last season update, where using this in the middle of attack strings will it won't parry them, but it will guard crush them, and then it lets you dash cancel off of it. So this is what Baiken wants to be doing. Baiken wants to be in your face, on defense, waiting for an opening. Once she sees that opening, she's either going to take advantage of you pressing a bad button, and then slamming you to the ground, or she's going to find an opening and get in on you and apply pressure. That's Baiken's gameplay from a very basic standpoint. Something I should mention to you about parry is that it used to be able to Roman cancel on hit. You can't do that anymore. They took away some of the defensive aspects of it, but left it a strong reversal option. So if I do this to Soul, he wants to DP there, right? Every Soul wants to DP after a knockdown. So if I do that, I'm going to own him for it. The problem is that if I set Soul to throw after a knockdown, I'm gonna get owned. I'm gonna get punish countered for that. And you can't Roman after a whiffed command, or you can't Roman after a whiffed parry. You can't do it anymore. So you gotta be very careful when you use this ability. It's your most powerful defensive tool. It's oftentimes your most powerful offensive tool if you can make a right read. But you can't do anything off of it. It just gets you some Oki. It does get you a hard knockdown, but that's all you get. You gotta be mindful of that. Baiken has 2 supers, like many characters in this game. You have your reversal super, which is for damage. It's quite short, so you gotta be careful about this. But it is invincible on Wake Up. So if you have 100 meter to spend, and you think somebody's gonna try to throw you or something to beat Hiragi, this is how you beat that. Good damage, gets you a hard knockdown. It sends them away from you, but that lets you apply pressure with Kabari and make space. Your other super is your utility super. This is Kenji. If I can do it. Kenju is a gun. It can be used in the ground or on the air. It can be used to catch stray 6Ps. It can be used as a combo extender, because it gives you a bounce effect. Very good utility tool. It can also be used to catch people throwing stuff at you from full screen. It's very good against Dizzy and Asuka, characters like that. Not what you want to be using for damage necessarily, but it is a good utility tool for Baiken to have, and it gives her another metered option. Baiken's got a lot of really good offense strings. So up close, you can be doing stuff like this. Generally, that tatami is unsafe, but if they FD it, it pushes them away that they can't really combat it, and then you get to block. So your turn is over, but it is a safe string. Other than that, you can go low, do the same thing. You can go high. You can tap dust. You can do lots of stuff with Baiken. Baiken has many advances that she can make to apply pressure. X Kabari got buffed last season, and it is your probably best neutral tool. It's really bad into some characters, but Temkin is kind of rough into because he wants you right at the distance that it puts you at. But because of the vacuum effect and guard crushing the opponent, you can apply a lot of good pressure by mixing up what you want to do and trying to instigate them to do something bad. This is one of your mix-up tools. Your other mix-up tool is Yozansen. Yozansen now, on hit... Let me change this real quick. Has a vacuum effect. So you get a combo off of that. You can do a couple different routes off of this, but we'll get to that in a moment. What you need to know is that S and H Kabari are your ranged attacks that you can use to either blank projectiles, something like Asuka cubes. Sometimes they're fast enough to beat things like Elfelt. Not always. You gotta be very careful with how you use these. But they're good at keeping space and applying pressure from a distance, where Baiken is quite weak. Baiken is very weak at a distance. Her dash speed got buffed, and it's still kind of slow compared to everybody else. So she has a bit of trouble against projectiles. This is her main weakness. Zoners are your kryptonite. You have to be very careful in zoner matchups, and you have to learn their habits. It's the hardest thing to do as a Baiken player, is to learn the habits of the person that you're playing against. Because that's what you need to exploit, is what your opponent's doing. Let's get into some basic combos. At close range, this is your bread and butter here. A little technical for somebody coming from like Soul or Kai, something like that. This has a lot of unique inputs that are exclusive to Baiken. Getting this 2S into the half circle can be kind of hard for some players. It was when I first started. But you can do it. This is your B&B. This is what you want to be doing. Now, if you want to move on to something a little more extra, at mid-screen, if you're able, you can try this. I whiffed the 5S, or the 5H. But you get the idea. At mid-screen, this can pick up into a 5K, and then can carry them to the wall. And then you can end with whatever you want. Either H Kabari, 5S, or if you're metered, you can shoot them with the gun. There's another one that you can do if you're not at mid-screen. This one only works at mid-screen to break the wall. There's another one that you can do that it requires a dash cancel. Not a dash cancel, but a micro dash. It requires a micro dash. That gets you more damage than the basic combo. The one that I showed you before was 167. That other one is 176. I recommend starting with the first combo just to get a feel for the loop. Once you have the loop down, you can try the micro dash into the close slash. The timing on it is pretty strict, but I know you can do it. Some more advanced stuff. I mentioned earlier, Tatami is really good at baiting projectiles. They buffed it a couple of months ago to make it so that you can have multiple on screen. So if you're up here, you can Tatami and then immediately send another one to apply more pressure. This is kind of niche, but it can come up against characters like Asuka, where being up here and Tatamiing as soon as you hit the highest point of your jump deletes every cube on the way down. Here's the hardest part for anybody starting new on this character. See, even I'm still getting it wrong. TKO Zansen. This is your ultimate offensive tool. TKO Zansen is really good because it's your only way to open up somebody just sitting there blocking low. You don't really have any other ways to do it. You could tap dust, but everybody can do that. This is what you want to be doing if you're trying to open somebody up. If you catch your opponent lacking, Zansen can lead to some really nasty stuff. It took a couple tries because I'm not used to doing that. But Zansen can lead to some nasty combos if you catch them pressing on something. Because a lot of the times, you get up close here, somebody will think you're going for a throw. Right? So, if you catch them like this, they'll get counter hit by it, and you'll get something huge off of it. Zansen is very rewarding, but it's very hard. It takes a lot of practice. I'm still working on it myself. I'm not super consistent. But it is very important to the game plan. One last unique thing about Baiken is her throw. Baiken is the only character in the game that has a throw that applies some kind of effect to it. So, S Kabari applies a tether to the opponent. So you are strapped together for a little while when you do this. Baiken's throw does the same thing, depending on if you tap it or hold it. If you tap it, you get the tether, and if you hold it, you just throw them. Because of this, Baiken has a unique thing where she's one of the few characters in the game that can combo meterless off of a throw. So, if you do something like this, oftentimes, you'll find that combo off of the 6H just leading to a wall stick anyway. But if you're mid-screen and do that, you get that combo. There's a lot of stuff that you can do with Baiken that's gonna throw people off. It's one of her better strengths is that she's got access to a lot of unique tools that other characters don't. So if they're not prepared for it, you can take advantage of that. Finally, let's lead to your corner combos. These are going to be your highest damaging combos, as probably some of you know. But Baiken's are a little bit different. Depending on what she gets, she could do all kinds of stuff. So let's start with the basic one. That one can vary. If you're not careful, you might end up breaking the wall with Zansen instead of something when you land. I've gotten so good at it, I forgot how to do it. Hang on. Let me see if I can actually figure this out. Like that. So yeah, if you don't time it correctly, you miss out on a bit of damage, and sometimes you break the wall with Zansen. It's not a huge deal, but if you want to be optimal about it, then that is what you want to be doing. It wouldn't be a Strive combo video if I didn't show you guys something cool. So, what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you the Dustloop. This is what the site's named after. This one is the hardest combo that you can do as a beginner, but I know that y'all can do it. And there you go, folks. Feel free to slow it down. Whatever you need to do, take it bit by bit. That's something that you can work towards. A few final things. These are just general tips for beginner and intermediate players. Don't be afraid to use your meter. You build meter incredibly fast in this game. If you're playing Baiken, this is gonna be huge for you. You can do so much dumb stuff off of meter. Not only that, but you can get all kinds of cool confirms off of it. Please spend your meter on both offense and defense. Don't forget the faultless, because you can get chipped pretty easily in this game. Especially against those zoners that I told you about. And don't be afraid to go into the air. I have a problem of going into the air too much. But I know a lot of people that refuse to jump. Y'all gotta jump. Baiken's best moves are in the air. JS confirms into Yozansen. JH confirms into Yozansen. JD is your best anti-air tool. And then JP and JK, they're very good at contesting people in the air. Please, use your air buttons. This has been LeonaDX's VTuber's Guide to Baiken for Guilty Gear Strive. I hope some of you pick her up. She's been hella fun this season. All of her new toys have been very fun to play with. She's a very good character right now. Struggles a little against some characters, but who doesn't, right? Just make sure, keep your head on, stay cool. You guys will be just fine. I believe in y'all. If y'all have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll answer them to the best I can. I'm not an expert at this game, but I'll share whatever knowledge that I have. So please, like, subscribe, do all the fun stuff. Check out the Patreon, patreon.com/LeonaDX if you feel like supporting me. I can do more stuff like this if you want. I've got a couple other characters that I could do this for. Thank you guys for hanging out, and I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.